guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and this is my open book. In today's video, I'm coming at you with the end of the year book tag. So we'll talk about some of my reading plans for the rest of the year, my December TBR, a little sneak peek, and kind of reflecting on some of the books that I haven't finished yet that I want to. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into it. Okay, in writing down the questions and answers for this video, it made me realize that I got a lot of reading to do in the month of December if I want to meet some of my goals that I set for myself at the beginning of the year with things that I wanted to finish. So this should be interesting. The first question is, I've seen different wordings on this question. So I've seen some people just say like books that you didn't finish in 2023, or books that you are in the middle of that you need to finish by the end of the year, or books that you DNF but you want to come back to before the year is over. So I am going to talk about some series that I need to finish specifically that I kind of stopped like in the middle of, and I really don't like ending the year off like that. So the first being, I need to finish The Sinner's Duet by Sophie Lark, because I read the first book and I did not ever finish the second part. So I need to read this before the end of the year so I can close out that duet. I talked about this in my book haul if you haven't seen it, because I literally just bought this book last weekend. And this is a serial killer romance, and I heard that this one is supposed to more go into like the backstory of the serial killer, so I'm interested to see how this goes. I definitely need to know whether or not Cole has any redeeming qualities, because right now I'm not a fan of him as a person, I'm gonna be honest with you. I still found the first book really fascinating, but it's not like I'm like shipping their love story as of right now. So we'll see if this changes my mind. Some other two series I need to finish. I read the first book of the Shatter Me series in the summer. I think it was May. And I loved it, but I felt like the summer was not the time to read this. It's a very like dark, cold kind of atmosphere, so I wanted to save it for the winter. So the rest of the series is on my winter TBR. I have the whole box set actually that I ordered after I read the first book, so I'm ready. I have no excuse. And these are YA, and there's also a few novellas mixed in, so I feel like it'll be a quick read for me. So I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to finish this in the month of December. I don't know, but now I'm looking at it and now I'm like, wait, will I be able to finish it? I don't know. I feel like it'll be fine. I feel like if I dedicate a weekend to it, then I might be able to get through a pretty good bit. So yeah, this is a YA kind of like dystopian society, sci-fi fantasy situation, and I don't know that much yet because I've only read the first book, but from what I've heard, I have a feeling it's gonna be really good, and I need to see what all the hubbub is about. So that is definitely something that I need to finish, that I kind of started and then just like left it hanging. I know. I feel like everyone and their mother has already finished this series. I only read the first book and I liked it, but like I didn't love it. I wasn't obsessed. Like it was good, but it wasn't great. But a lot of people tell me that that's kind of how everybody feels, but the rest of it is way better. So I have the second book ready to go. I also just purchased the rest of the series because Amazon had them on sale for Black Friday as like a buy 3 books for the price of 2 situation. I'm gonna do it. Will I be able to do it by the end of the year? That's the part I don't know, because these are longer and these are harder to get through. And I do already have like the Shatter Me series that I want to finish. If you saw my last weekly wrap up, you also saw that I'm in the middle of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward, which that's like 20 books. I know I'm not going to finish that by the end of the year, but it's hard for me to read anything else right now because I'm so obsessed. So I don't know, we'll see. But this is definitely something that I did not finish. I started it and I didn't finish. So that's on my list. It's on my list. Okay, question number 2. Do you have an autumnal read that will transition you from fall to winter? I actually have 2. So I have Legends and Lattes. This is a cozy fantasy that involves an orc leaving behind her life of violence to open a coffee shop. So I feel like this will give me like the cozy vibes that we love in the fall, winter time. So this is definitely one that I plan to transition me from fall to winter, and it'll probably be what I read next. I was gonna read it yesterday, but I just got sucked back into Black Dagger Brotherhood and I just can't read anything else right now, but it's here waiting for me. And another one is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and I have the one with the purple sprayed edges. I'm obsessed. It's so pretty. But This is another one. I think just me in general, I love reading fantasy in the fall and winter time. That's really the only time I crave reading fantasy. So this is the perfect time of year for me to get into this. This is supposed to be like a gothic kind of romance fantasy situation. I don't really know much about it, but from what I've heard, I think the romance is with Death himself. Like the spirit like communicates to her, and I think they have a romance somehow. So I'm very intrigued, very intrigued. But I feel like because this is fantasy, but it also has like the gothic dark element, this will be a good one to read during this time of year. You know, I feel like since daylight savings hit, the darkness is just part of the vibe always. So if it has a dark element, then I feel like it fits with the current season. So these are my two autumnal transitional books to get me from fall to winter. Okay, next one are some new releases that you're still waiting for, that you still need to read. I've got quite a few, but as of right now, these are the two that I'm still waiting for, that I definitely am going to read as soon as they come out. The first one is He's Not My Type by Megan Quinn. This comes out in a couple days. I'm filming this video on November 25th, and I believe this book comes out on like the 27th or the 28th, so I only have a few days left, but I really want to read this. You guys know Megan Quinn is one of my favorite authors, and this is part of her hockey romance series, which has had some highs and lows. Like the first book in that series was a 5-star, like Die Hard kind of read, and then the second book I hated. I wish I DNF'd it, but I didn't. And then the third book was like just okay. So I have no idea what I'm going to get with this one, but this is the character I've been most excited for, because he's kind of like the silent loner type who just like sits in the corner and reads, which if you know my husband, that's what I like. So I've been waiting for his book. He's got a tortured past, and yeah, I'm really excited. I honestly might give this a try on audio, because Megan Quinn has a full cast narration for this one, which I don't think she's done before. I could be wrong. I'm not usually an audiobook girly because I'm a visual person. If something is playing, I'm gonna like tune it out if I'm focused on something else. But I have some coloring books, so I thought maybe if I'm like coloring, I would be able to actually enjoy an audiobook. And I feel like because this is a full cast narration, I'm gonna like it more, versus like one person's voice being cringy trying to like be everybody's voice. That's usually the part that kind of rubs me the wrong way in audiobooks. So I don't know, I might give this a try on audio, so fingers crossed it works out. The next one I'm really excited about comes out on December 12th. This is Lose You to Find Me by V. Celeste. So this is another one where the series started off really strong. I love the first book. This is a college football romance series, and the first one I loved because it was like friends to enemies to lovers, and they had history together, and it was just great. Then the second one was also friends to lovers, but that one kind of disappointed me in the romance element. I liked their friendship and not their love story. But this is the third book, and this one is kind of like, not quite a marriage in trouble, so I think it might be like more of a second chance kind of vibe. I don't really know how the timeline is going to end up, but at the end of the second book, the couple that like everyone strives to be, they've been together forever, he proposes and she says no. I said, excuse me? Excuse me. That is not the kind of cliffhanger that I need in my life. So I have been waiting for this book to come out because I have to know what happens. I have to know, because they seem like the perfect couple. Like, you don't even know something is wrong. What could possibly cause her to say no? I don't know. So like, if they break up and they get back together, that's like a second chance romance. So I'm hoping that's what the timeline will do, because I'm really excited for this. I need to know. I need to know. Okay, next question is 3 books that you have to read or you definitely plan to read before the end of the year. So if you follow me on Instagram, you kind of saw a sneak peek because I did like a top 10 before the end. But these are the 3 that I narrowed it down to. So we kind of already talked about this. I have to at least read the second book by the end of the year. I've already told myself. If I'm still not obsessed, then it's okay if I don't finish the whole series by the end of the year. But I feel like I need to at least read the second book. But look how big it is. I don't know, you guys. This is over 600 pages. Stop. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. A lot of people say this one's their favorite, so fingers crossed that I will be a believer after this. I have to be. I have to be. Next up is the #1 book on my Christmas TBR this year. This is The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. I also talked about this in my book haul. I love reading Christmas books in December. I do it every year, and as soon as I heard this book existed, this was the first book that I put on my holiday TBR for 2023. So this is definitely going to be something that I read before the year is over, because I love Lucy Score. This is a classic, like, small town Grumpy Sunshine setup, and I'm here for it. Another book I got in my recent book haul is Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone. I also have to read the prequel novella that goes before this called Salt in the Wound, and this is an MMF romance. So I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe the prequel kind of goes more into like how the female and the male get together. I think they get married, and I think like he's in charge of a sex club, and then she's supposed to be studying to be a nun, but then her dad like makes her marry the guy in charge of the sex club for some reason, like an arranged marriage situation. And then this one is where it becomes a poly romance with Tristan, and I think he's supposed to be like their new bodyguard or something, and I think they end up like bringing him into the mix somehow. So I'm excited. I love Sierra Simone's writing. I just think that the way she writes is so beautiful and captivating, and she is definitely an author that I appreciate, because one of my favorite parts about reading romance is learning about different kinds of love, and I feel like she does a great job of showing that, and I have a feeling this will not disappoint. So I was really excited to read this by the end of the year, because this didn't come out that long ago. So ever since I heard about it, I was like, okay, this I gotta read. So I'm excited to get into this. Okay, the next question is books that could shock you and compete for like the best book of the year, or could be like a surprising 5-star before the year is over, which part of me kind of wants to like not read anything new when I hear that question, because I'm like, I already have so many books competing to be at the top. Like, do I really want to add more that I have to try and pick from? Like, that's gonna be so hard. It's gonna be so hard to pick my favorite book of the year. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do it. I do have 2 other books that are on my winter TBR that I feel like will definitely make it hard for me, because I've heard so many people say these are like their god tier books. The first one is Between Never and Forever by Britt Benson. This is a rock star romance, and I've heard this is like super angsty, and all the reviews I've seen just make me know that I'm gonna love it. I already know I'm gonna love it, but this could end up being like a sneaky new 5-star, like top 5 read of the year, which again will just make my job so much harder. So if I don't read this by the end of the year, honestly that's probably why, because I was too intimidated to have more top tier books on my list. But then it also sucks, because if I put it off until January, then it's going to be even harder for it to make my top list, because I feel like the books you read in January almost always get forgotten by the time you do like your mid-year wrap up or like your end of the year wrap up. So I don't know what to do, but I will read this in winter regardless, whether it's December or January, I don't know. But if I end up reading this before the year is over, this could make my job that much harder. Another one that I think will fit the same scenario is A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I've been putting off reading this book for so long. I love Candy Steiner, but I think I've heard this one is super heavy, very emotional. This is like right person, wrong time situation where they have known that they like each other, I believe since high school or college, but every time one of them is single and then the other person is single, but then something else happens that drives them away, or then they can't be together, and it's just like over the course of their whole lives trying to make this romance happen, which I know is gonna be really hard for me to read for that reason. But at the same time, I am so excited to read it, because you guys know I love when characters have history together. I love like friends to lovers, second chance, dual timelines. So like I know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna love it. Plus it's Candy Steiner, which I love Candy Steiner. So I don't know. If I end up reading this by the end of the year, another thing that's gonna make my job very difficult, because how am I supposed to pick between all these great books? How am I supposed to do it? And last question, have you already started your 2024 reading plans? So I do have like 3 series in mind that I didn't get to this year, and when I realized I wasn't going to be able to finish them before the year was over, I decided, okay, these are just going to be the ones that are going to be on my 2024 TBR. So the first one is the Voice of Chaman series by Chloe Walsh. If you watch my mid-year freakout book tag, this was supposed to be on my 2023 list, but I just never got around to it. I just got distracted by too many other books. You know, it is what it is. There's just too many books to go around. But I do already have the first book on my Kindle, because I had like enough Kindle credits to get it for free. So I already have the first book downloaded on my Kindle, ready to go. But I don't know. I figured I can read the first book on Kindle, because the series is not on Kindle Unlimited, but I heard that they got picked up by a publisher, and they're going to be traditionally published in America very soon. So I figured I could read this first book on my Kindle, and then if I like it, I could get like the whole series in paperback or something like that. But yeah, this is supposed to be like a college romance, and I think that's like rugby players, and I've heard it's very emotional, and then it becomes like a friends to lovers situation, I think. So it's got all the right ingredients for me to love it, but the books are very long, so I think that's why it just like was not on my top priority list as it should have been, because I just kept putting it off because of how long it is. So this will definitely be something that I plan to read in next year. Another series that is a lot of people's like god tier series is the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. But I'm worried because now that I did not like Magnolia Parks, I feel like the people who like Magnolia Parks like the Addicted series. So I don't know. This is supposed to give similar vibes, like a toxic relationship. It's called the Addicted series because in the first book, the couple, they each have an addiction that they're struggling through. And I think they like get together while they're trying to heal from their addiction. So obviously it gets very messy. But I've been seeing that these are on Kindle Unlimited now, and that they have like the audios on sale for only like $2 each as like an add-on when you download the book on Kindle Unlimited. So this will be something that I plan to read next year. But this is a whole universe. Like, it's not just one series. It's like the first series, and there's like this spin-off, and then this spin-off, and there's like a second gen. So it's like a whole world to get into. So I knew I wasn't gonna be able to do that this year. So I said, we'll just save that for next year. That way I have the whole year to, you know, see what I want to do with it. The next thing that's on the top, tippy top of my 2024 TBR is the final book in the Hades and Persephone series by Scarlett St. Clair. Is coming out in March, I believe. This is A Touch of Chaos. And I'm going to be starting off the year reading her Hades saga. So the way that she wrote this, maybe I can find the graphic that she put on her Instagram the other day that shows like the reading order. So you could also like tandem read the book. So she has like A Touch of Darkness, A Touch of Malice, and A Touch of Ruin. And then she also has the Hades books. It's like A Game of Fate. I don't remember the other titles. So you can either read them like in tandem with each other because they are like the same timeline. But the Hades series is obviously more focused on Hades, whereas the Hades and Persephone series is more focused on Persephone. I know it's confusing. I was very confused at the beginning too. So I didn't know that at the time, so I already read the Hades and Persephone series. Those first 3 books, I already read them. So because I couldn't do the tandem read situation, I think what I'm gonna do is, because it's also been a while since I've read those books, I figured if I just read the Hades saga at the beginning of the year, leading up to the new book coming out in March, that way it'll help me remember what happened, but it'll also, you know, help me get caught up with everything that happened on Hades' side before the new book comes out. Because the new book is going to combine the 2 series. She's not going to do a tandem read in the Hades saga for this one. Like, this is going to be it. And it's going to have everyone's point of view. So that's my plan at the beginning of 2024, is to make sure I read the whole Hades saga so I can get all caught up before the new book comes out in March. So that's for sure happening, 100%. I already know. Nothing will prevent me from getting that done because I want to read this book so bad. The cliffhanger from the last book had me so angry because I thought it was the last book and it wasn't. I need to do my research more before picking up series, clearly, because I put myself in such a bad spot with this one. So I'm excited to finally have this wrapped up with a nice little bow, hopefully. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I tag all of you to do this. I will leave the questions down below in the description if you're interested. Give this video a like and leave a comment down below telling me what is one book that you definitely have to read before the year is over. And you can also leave comments down below telling me books that I need to read. Probably not this year, please don't overwhelm me. But you can help me add books to my 2024 TBR because that is coming up a lot sooner than it should be. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my future videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.